Hi everybody. This is the application of the point form for our mobility assisted students. Now, the video you're about to see has no mobility assistance in it. We decided to pull the walker and crutches out so that you can see clearly what the movements are supposed to be, what the blocks are supposed to be, what the attacks are supposed to be. Obviously, if you have a walker, you're going to be holding on to the walker at some points. You know your form, but your form is the same as the standing form. You're just utilizing your walker as an extra weapon, as an extra advantage, and you're trying to turn into your advantage. It doesn't change the application of the form. You're still doing the same things. And so we remove the walker so that you can see clearly how our feet and arms are supposed to work together in the practical application. This is just a little note to let you all know, or remind you, that when we practice the practical applications of our ACA, we need to keep in mind that an ACA looks like you're fighting multiple opponents. You are not fighting multiple opponents. You're fighting one individual. And ACA is simply a combination of techniques and moves designed to help you learn how to defend yourself against an opponent. So when we practice the practical applications, we break it down by what are we doing against our opponent? Stop. Now let's move into the next set of sequences about our opponent. We are not fighting multiple opponents in our ACA. We are only fighting one individual in any practical reality. Hello everybody. Welcome to the practical application of the point form. Now the point form, or ACA, is the first form we learn, and therefore it is the simplest. It only has the two lessons we talked about, the essential lessons of appropriate distance and counter-striking. However, all of our ACA have application that is relatively basic and relatively advanced. And because we're learning ACA that are from the American system, they have also evolved through the ages to reflect the realities of the opponent you may be facing. So having said that, you're about to discover that a single ACA has multiple applications for its movements. Okay? So let's begin at the beginning here, and we are going to go through the first half of the form, demonstrating the traditional simplified application, and then the more advanced application. Much of the advanced application is also traditional, but it has also been modified to reflect the modern realities of the opponent you may be facing. And you'll see what I mean as we go along. So, if I'm facing my bad guy, and I'm ready to fight, in the ACA I'm here, which makes zero sense whatsoever, right? We're doing a dance. We start with our feet together on our X here because we're learning to move for any angle, any direction. In reality, you're going to be in a fighting stance. So for any practical application, we need to talk about why we're starting in the way we're starting. The beginning of the point form is simply defining the point for the ACA. In reality, if this is my point, I'd be here because I like to have my right foot back. But in traditional martial arts, you have to be able to move both feet, and you have to be able to do things with your feet in any direction. Now, Saya Miles is standing in a modern fighting stance. When this form was invented and created, they didn't stand that way. They stand it in T's or L's. Okay? Here's a bad guy. I'm a good guy. We're in these deep stances. Okay? He might be a little more shallow because he's going to attack, but we don't know. He might be in a T. Switch to a T. Okay? And he's in a T with the left leg forward. Traditionally, people fought with their power legs forward. Switch. So you might be facing this. Okay? And so when he's here and he's going for his attack, shuffle stepping, he might shuffle step in to throw a front leg front kick. And the first technique we're working on is actually defending from that front kick. As he shuffles in and throws his front kick, I'm knocking it away. And as he comes in and collapses his feet down, I've got an easy kick. What if he recovers his punch? Or his kick, excuse me. What if he recovers his kick? He throws that kick and brings it back. I'm still in punching range. So the very basic application is crystal clear to anyone who's watching the form. I get out of the way of a low strike and immediately come back. You see his foot isn't even down yet when I punch. I'm not doing this. 1 and 2. That's too much time for him to get away. The practical application and the essential lessons have to happen together. I've got to block, and at the moment of impact with this, boom! As long as the foot gets out of my way, and then I punch back. And that's the basic application of this movement. Okay? So what if he kicks and recovers? Okay? He kicks and recovers. And my block comes in, and he's, of course, a decent martial artist too, and his hand's up there, and he's either blocking my arm out with an outside block or a cross block. Okay? So I don't get to punch him. He cross blocks. Okay? I have to worry about a counter punch now. So moving into the second technique of basic application, I'm going to drive my arm into an X, which jams him up here, and I step out. And that opens right here, which is why I'll do the short punch. So as I throw my punch, and he cross blocks, I drive into my X, jamming both arms. Boom! And that holds a bar, which opens me up for that counter. And remember, the counter happens immediately. Boom! Okay? So he doesn't have time to disengage. And that's the basic movement and the basic application of our point form. Fairly simple, looks just like the form. In more advanced application, we start controlling our opponent. Because one of the core concepts of American Bando is getting offline. Another one of our core concepts is capturing your opponent's balance. This is something we strive to do at all times. We're always trying to capture our opponent's balance. So, turn and face me, Sai Miles, in a modern fighting stance. Now he's got this foot up. Now, he might be throwing his back leg front kick now instead of his front leg. He might be throwing his front leg front kick. Actually, none of that matters. Okay, what matters is that the technique is coming in here. He could be lunging in and throwing a jab at my belly. Okay, do that one again. Boom. I could be trying to drive out here. Okay, but the first technique is a kick. So as he throws a, we'll stick with the right leg. The right leg is now a back leg kick. Doesn't matter. You could be throwing the front leg front kick, but if he's throwing that back leg front kick, I want to capture his balance. A more advanced technique is this. As he comes in, I catch and I pull. I can grab. But it still has to happen fast. So as I come back and grab him, see how I don't have to hold on. I just have to capture his balance. That pulling helps move him to the side so he can't recover his kick as well. As he throws that kick, look how close he is now. Boom. And I'm coming in with that punch, okay? So I'm capturing his balance, I'm moving him around. If I capture his leg and hold on for just a second, he's going to try to pull and recover his leg. Or he's going to fall down like he did. But if he throws that kick and I capture, and he tries to pull back, he's thinking about his leg, not my counter punch. So we're still capturing the balance of that technique. Now, the reason I showed you the first 2 count and the second 2 count together is the advanced sequence is all 4 counts. So what happens in this count is he will recover his kick. If someone recovers his kick and I throw my punch and he gets his arms up there, he's going to also be a fighter. He's going to try to capture my balance. I don't want this. So as I throw this punch and he blocks and grabs, I've got to come in here and break free, drive my arm out, and keep this hand over here so that it's coming around and come into here. So in the advanced technique, I only hit him once. I hit him with the short punch. The first punch is blocked and defended. So we're learning the flow of block, counter, because he knows block, counter too. So that's one of the very important applications of this form, is learning that if your punch gets blocked, you don't stop. We're not a one-punch system, okay? So if I throw that kick, or he throws that kick, and I block it and punch it, and he blocks it, I don't stop, okay? We don't stop. That's bad application of our form. We don't stop, okay? As I go slow and smooth and steady, as I block and punch and drive, okay? I stop and throw the punch. Remember, it's block, counter punch, immediately afterwards. So that's the more advanced application of this. Move this way a little bit again, and watch this again as I trap the second block this time. I try to engage and steal his balance. I block, it didn't work. This doesn't work. He's coming in to punch me. I drive in and I grab. Right? That helps control him. As I pull him to the side, it really opens up here so that I can pull and grab at the same time. That's more fine motor work. But we're engaged in continuous contact. Okay? If I throw my punch and he blocks it, it's actually very hard for him to grab this punch. Grab this punch. Grab the punch. It's hard to grab that punch. Okay? But if I'm throwing a directional punch or a traditional punch where I'm really sinking in and stepping in and grab this punch, that's a little bit easier for him to grab. Still hard. I'm still going to retract. But we've got to think about doing that, because if I grab his arm, put your punch out there. If I grab his arm and he pulls back and I can't hold on to it, but we're following the rules of the point form, pull his arm back, right? Pull it back. Doesn't matter, I still hit him, right? Because I'm punching right off of the counter. So even as he's pulling his arm back, he's focused on his arm, he's not focused on defending. So that's really important, okay? Now, let's go to the next set. The next set, we're going to go step back and block, punch, and then step out into our H. So here we are. Now, in the second series, we are in punching distance, and the second series is not a kick, okay? You can practice the first series with either kick. Go back to a traditional stance, right leg forward, okay? In the second series here, this is also the punch that usually gets thrown, okay? I'm moving to my right, but I can do this to my left, okay? Doesn't matter. You should practice both sides of your form anyway. But he's going to take this punch, and he's going to throw a lower strike, which is somewhere in here, okay? This is one of the harder punches to block, because we train all the time blocking our face, blocking down low. But here's hard block. Say, if he sends that punch straight in, that's actually a low block. I'm driving with the elbow. I might hit with the elbow and drive down, which turns into our other block, the hook block, if we can do it. But if he throws for the belly, I've got to get down. See how slow I am? It's hard to drive this low block. So if I don't move, I'm in trouble. So instead, I move. And that gives me a little more time. Traditional chamber, non-traditional chamber. I've been doing non-traditional so long, you watch me, my hand always comes right to here. Let me do traditional chamber. Okay? Now I'm right back where I was supposed to be. All right? Block, punch. All right? Right off the block. As he throws that punch, boom, I come over top of the thing. So it has to happen fast. Right? That's our most important lesson. So that's traditional. But then he's going to step in and throw his punch. Because in a traditional Myanmar martial art, a lot of punches come from steps. He's going to step in and drive into me. Okay? So I block this thing, I throw this punch, and then he steps in and punches, and I got to come out here. See where we are? We're right on each other. In Myanmar martial arts, we get close to each other. People think everything happens out here. It doesn't happen out here. It happens right here. So as I step out and block this guy, here's an opening. Lower spine. Some nice organs that don't like to get hit. So I'm going to punch long and low. Boom! And drive through. So that's why that long punch is low. Because that's the opening. Okay? So in this traditional, he throws his punch and I block it. I punch back. He steps in to punch. I drive out here, right, to get him to walk by, and boom, to the lower back. And it all depends on your spacing. But that's your target. Your target in that second sequence is here to here. Okay? If someone does a more modern in-stance-based step, they're actually going to be more sideways. So this is where you'll hit. Okay? All right. Now let's talk a little bit about that with the more advanced sequence. Again, the advanced sequence is 4 counts. Because in real life, one punch doesn't usually do it. So we got to remember our movement. We got to remember our point. I'm on my point. He's there. He's in a more modern position, and he's going to throw his punches. And being more modern, he's got his other foot forward, and I told you it doesn't matter which way it works. So this time he's going to punch with this hand. And then he's going to second step and punch with this hand. And you'll see a big difference because he's going to open up more of his middle of his body to punch, not the back and side, because it changes. Maybe he's throwing the offset hand, the hand that's outside my power zone. So watch what happens if we start using opposite hands here. So he throws that punch and I drive it down, right? And I come over top of my punch. That's hard to block, okay? But if he brings this arm with this punch down and back up and does his sweep block, down and block up, now he's going to step in to punch me. So I've got to just drive him out here. That's that outside block, and now I'm moving out my H, and I'm getting out here, right? And I'm trying to hold on and control him, all right? Now in real life, no one stands like that after the punch. But what we're demonstrating to is the speed. If I get out here, I immediately jump, boom, and there's that organ again. Okay? So remember, for this take, my L stance is back here, my H stance is off at this angle. So I do my L stance first, throw my punch, and then I step out to my H to open me up for a wide enough long punch. And if I'm advanced and I can do this, and and I've got control of his balance. So we want to start wrapping. That's why we block with our ankle, our wrist like this. That helps us grab and control. All right? But that is what we call a hidden technique in our aka. Yeah, you don't show that. You don't block out with your hand open and grab yet. We get there eventually. Okay? But in the beginning, that's what we call a hidden technique. So we're not learning our aka with this. It's too complex for a beginning learner. So we learn the basics first. Now, let's walk through, very basically, in a modern setting, the entire first half of this form. So he's going to throw his kick, and I'm going to get away, and then I'm going to punch, then I'm going to scrape, then I'm going to short punch. Then I'm going to come back, and he's going to kick again, or punch. Good punch. Step away, throw your punch, scrape him out, short punch, or long punch low. Okay, sorry, it should have been long punch low. So you can walk through this nice and smooth with your partner, but that's not the best way to practice. That's a good way to learn doing this with a person, but once you get into it, you should break it down into 2 counts. Okay? This is how we practice. Throw the kick. Right? Or do it again. Right? So you see, as I do this, the proper technique is low block, long punch, high. But with him doing modern, he's kicking and coming in with his hands up. So the very first instinct I had was to throw it low. Okay? That's how you start taking application to reality. Reality is I don't want to punch his hands. In the form, if we're married to the form and we must low block, long punch, high, then we're cheating ourselves of the reality of paying attention to the fight. So that was a very good job. I'm glad you did that. All right. So we work the first one again. This time we'll do the first one and then we'll freeze at that. So do the first one. Now, we're going to practice the second one from here. I throw a punch and immediately he tries to do a block or something, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, because I'm just new to this, I'm still learning, and I'm going to say, ready. Okay? Oh man, I stopped after my block. I stepped into my hand, I did my thing real fast, I threw this out here, but I didn't punch him. I got to practice that. Okay? Okay? Ready. There we go. That's better. Now I'm learning to step and move and turn. Okay, but I didn't actually hit him hard. That's probably a good thing. If you like your partner, please don't go beating him up. And then from there, I'm here. Okay? So we have to do the next one. I do my punch here. Can you see why the third technique might not be a front kick? If I'm here and we're in tight, he might just try to punch me in the belly, right? He might try to punch me in the belly because we're close. And my hand's here, and I've got this hand up, and I'm punching him, so he might throw that punch to the belly. So I've got to step back and get out of the way. But he's still close enough for me to punch. Appropriate distance. Okay? But now he's going to step in and punch me. And I've got to step out to the H. And as I get out there, I've got to get out to the H, turn and punch. Out to the H, oh, he's down, I'll high punch. Okay? Pick my target. Now let's do the last 2 sequences, or the last 2 counts. Okay? Now for this last set of movements, in the aka, we do a high step into our cross stance. Because in the aka, we like to say, you punched the bad guy and he fell down, and now you have to step over the bad guy. But we're not fighting multiple opponents in real life. So why would we start like this against the bad guy? Okay? Well, the practical application of this is, remember, we're defending a point because we're learning about what? We're learning about appropriate distance. So if I get attacked from the side, bad guys don't square up and say, okay, now let's fight, right? They might attack from the side. I might just be walking along and I see the guy, and I'm going to need to defend myself, and he's coming in to hit me or punch me or do something here or kick me. Okay? So if we've got a traditionalist who's coming in here, and he's going to skip in and kick me with his front foot and knock me over, or he's going to just front kick me with his back leg. Boom! And I see this guy stepping in to do this, and I'm on the side, and we're in our point, and we're here in line. If I want to defend myself, I got 2 options. Run away, or try to stay within an appropriate fighting distance. So, in a purely self-defense situation, he goes to kick me, okay, I'm fine. I ran away. But that's not appropriate distance, and that's what we're training in this form. Now, I would highly recommend, if you're sideways and somebody's going to kick you, get away. All right? And then reset and get ready to go. But in the aka, we're talking about I need to deliver a counter strike to this guy. So in the form, we step very high to step over the imaginary person we just knocked down, remember? Because it's a dance. But in real life, the reason we step high is so that we don't trip over anything, because very rarely will you find yourself in a real fight on mats. You'll be outside, there'll be curbs, there'll be rocks, there'll be sticks, there'll be something in the way. So we don't drag our foot through this step. Plus, driving the leg up, if I'm slow and I start to drag, kick me. And I start to drag and he kicks me and I get caught, okay? Or I'm dragging and he kicks me and I'm just past here, I'm going to get pushed. But if I'm slow and driving my leg up, kick again, boom! I'm actually intercepting that kick with my leg into my cross stance, okay? It's not optimal, it's not what we want, but it is a side effect of driving the leg up. It gets in the way, okay? So as he does this kick, I'm going to step and knock that kick away. Oh, right? Good, go back, do it again. So in traditional, I'm here, I just did my punch low, he throws his kick, drive, and he steps in because I drove, and I drive the elbow and hit him. If he's far enough away, I drive the hand and hit him. And I drop it in my H. Boom. Okay? Good. Now in a traditional chambered hands, those high strikes are more effective. Okay? So that's a traditional thing is I'm here, he throws that kick, I block it, I hit. Okay? And that's what I'm doing. Staying in appropriate distance. Very traditional, very back leg front kick, front leg front kick, it doesn't matter. But if it's a front leg front kick, or he's in a more modern fighting situation, okay, he might be throwing his kick with the kick that's more towards the way you're moving. So, if he's throwing that front leg front kick, I want to, again, capture. I want to guide it so that I can come in, okay? And again, driving this into his block might be suboptimal, okay? So with practical application, where I'm just learning this, he throws that kick, wait, his hands are up. That's not going to work. I can practice this. I can see the hands and boom. Or I can just turn it into a hammer fist, boom, and down low. Especially if I drop my weight into an H stance, boom, right? And hit him to bring him down. And then from there, there's other things we can do that are not in the Aka, okay? So when my instructor was teaching me about capturing balance, this is what he did to me in this form. I'll be very gentle. It's okay. Here I am, throw the kick, I knock the kick away. I drive up here, his hands are up, he blocks it, boom. So I just grab his hand and capture his balance. Okay? Except my instructor actually kicked me across the room. I won't do that to you again.